What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more acid techno, and we're back with a tune from way back in the day, though it is right at the turn of the millennium. We're listening to a tune from 2000 from the one and only Chris Liberator, aka Chris Knowles. Many of you know how great his productions are. Many of you will have seen his DJ sets. I'm not lucky enough to have seen one of them in person, but I have seen a lot of them online, and I know that his energy and sort of his smile and his sort of intensity is just one of the greatest things. And again, as I mentioned in a couple of videos in the last few years, I've gotten to know him more on a personal level, initially through buying records from the Stay Up Forever website, but eventually, you know, through other people and through other avenues, I've become a friend of his, I would say, and he's as good on a personal level as he is in the studio or behind the decks. So I'll leave it at that. But again, he's a legend for a reason. We're going to listen to a tune he did where he remixed his own track. This is a tune called Set Fire, but it's the remix. So this is Chris Liberator's Set Fire remix. And this is on TEC, which is to say Truelove Electronic Communications, number 51. It's from 2000. If you didn't know, John Truelove, he made a track it's like, I think under the name The Source, and I believe it sampled another tune, which I'm blanking on what that is, but it was really popular, and it sort of like set off a like real interest in like a certain type of dance music, and so he used the sort of royalties or the revenue from that to start an electronic label collective called the Truelove Collective, and ultimately Stay Up Forever was one of the labels, and it was, you know, set up to help independent record labels get their music out and get it distributed and get it heard without having to, you know, enter into slavish contracts with, you know, a loss of creative control and so on with the big labels and the big distributors. So shout out to Truelove for doing that, and I do believe that the Stay Up Forever label collective is sort of built on the model that, you know, they had seen laid out in the Truelove label collective. So again, shout out to that. Shout out to Chris. Again, just I'm going to keep praising him both professionally and personally. But again, this is a tune where he remixed his own track, and it's called Set Fire. It's on TEC, as I mentioned, and this is from 2000. And so the logo side is the remix. So here we go. And I do believe the original was on the album that he put out on Truelove. I believe under the same name. Let me see if that's right. Yeah, the album was indeed on TEC, and it was from 2000, so same year this came out. And again, the album has the original version of the track, but this is the remix. Some rattly percussion already, a couple different voices in that percussive rattle. Love that low end, like acid bass. Nice kick too. Love that like rattling metallic. There's a hatch somewhere that's like shaking in the wind or something. You can hear some kind of winding synths working their way in. Little chirping. Little details, little elements come together to make a rich, textured whole with a W. It's got a bit of acid attitude too. It's like, I've used this metaphor in a Mr. Tom Servo Discogs review, but it sounds like a tune that like you'd hear in like an acid techno Quentin Tarantino film. I think I said that about a tune that Chris did with Mr. Burns and the Geezer on Skankadelic called Nice Acid. For any of those interested. heavier layer coming in. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow. And it's kind of like riding over the top of that like deeper acid bass. We got layers to go. I love that sort of increasingly intense, I don't know if it was cymbals, but it was like a percussive roll into the breakdown. The acid transformer is really powering up now. Wow, wow, wow. Kind of a stagnated snare roll. There's like a electric, it's like this, not a drone because it's like too active to be a drone, I think, but it's like a layer that added a lot of substance there right before it broke. While the acid just heating up a little bit. Wow, wow, wow. Like one of the layers is really kind of chirping high now. Wow, wow, wow. It's just, they like vertically stacked the acid layers. Love that. Rolling into the next measure with a little idiosyncratic pull out the kick, make you wait for it, slide back in. "22 years old this tune. I thought it came in earlier, I was waiting for it. It's kind of like a reverse acid, like a little more dissonant. Everything else is kind of bright and like chirping away, and now there's this like reverse dissonant layer. It gives an edge and again intensifies that acid attitude. Thank you, Chris, for allowing me to make that point. Now hear that other percussive rattles back. That lower one. Oh my god. I heard a pop there, but also the way the acid flared up. Snare rolls. There's a lot going on in this track. Now the kind of gritty substance layer that I mentioned, you can really hear it now. It's like a melody, but it's like really like, it's got edge. And now it's like like temperature down. Little chirp still. Rattly percussion. To call it a dark acid techno tune, but again, it's got a menace. It's got some attitude in the way it goes about its business. Like the acid work, a lot of it is very bright, but it's like bright with a punk rock jacket on. The high rattle, that lower rattle. It's almost like a call and like they're talking to each other. masterpiece. Maybe not one of his more famous tunes in terms of like, I think a lot of his most famous tunes you think of from Stay It Forever, you think of Wah Wah. But yeah, this is a classic. And again, from a transitional period, right? 2000, sounds are changing a little bit. Some labels are drying up and going digital. Not Chris. Not Stay It Forever. Again, I know this is on TEC, but I guess what I'm saying is quality in the mid-90s, quality in the late 90s, quality in the early 2000s, quality in the 2010s, quality now. Ugh. Deep acid rumbles that we came in with. Love it. Brilliant. It's funny, I don't have the album, but I have heard the original version of the tune. I do think that's an upgrade. I like the original, but I think this is actually better. There's a DJ ESP, which is to say Woody McBride version on the other side. I like Woody McBride, American who makes acid techno. Although, he's from the Midwest, so, I wasn't seeing him at parties back in the day. But I'm aware of the Drop Bass Network. I know, people who love that label. The records go for crazy prices on Discogs. They're highly coveted. It's not like my favorite acid techno sound. It's not a knock. It's just, the London acid techno sound, as well as, the Havoc sound, the Manchester acid sound, and so on. That was more what I was pursuing in the late 90s and, through all of my history of buying acid techno. So I got total respect for the Drop Bass Network and Woody McBride and, DJ ASP as he's gone by. But yeah, for me, the Chris remix of his own track is the one on this vinyl. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you do have the album and if there's any good tracks on that. Again, I don't have it, so I wouldn't be able to react to it right away. But ultimately, it's one of those releases that eventually, there's so many things on Discogs you want to get, but I do have a lot of things in my want list, and that album has been in my want list for a while, and it's just always like, oh, but there's a new release coming out, and but there are still some copies for sale, so at some point I'd like to get it and, sort of complete, or not complete, but get further flesh out my collection of Chris's excellent tunes. But yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know if there's another track you'd like to react to, whether it's from, Stay Up Forever, TEC, or anything else. And other than that, thank you for listening and watching. Have a good day, have a good night. I'll see you next time. Peace.